Welcome to Northern Lights. I'm Dwain.
Mark.
And today we're going to do our predictions for UFC 277. I feel like UFC 277 hasn't really got the promotional material and marketing behind it that all of these other cards do at the moment. You know, we've just come off this massive card at UFC London. We've got 278, 279 and 280, and people seem more excited for those cards than they do this one, which feels a bit of a shame because it's like with 275, that was the same, but that had some amazing fights, and I'm hoping this is going to be the same. What do you think, Mark?
Usually the ones that you think might look a little bit lackluster on paper, they usually, come and deliver to you straight away, don't they? With knockouts everywhere and things. But maybe it's just because your expectations and your hopes aren't that high. And it sounds wrong saying that because you've got, a championship on the line and you've got an interim championship on the line as well. And then you've got a few other exciting fighters on that card. So it really does make it change. But I don't think there's really been much advertising for it, really, has there? There's just been the Ultimate Fighter adverts that have been going on for months now.
Yeah.
But because they're trying to promote the show. But this is the payoff at the end, isn't it? You've got Nunes and Juliana Pena, but I mean, we'll get to that a little bit later. But jumping straight into the first fight on the main card, Dwain, what do you think about Magomed Ankalaev and Anthony Smith? Excuse me, anyone who...
It is a tricky name, Ankalaev. Is it Ankalaev? I don't know.
Ankalaev.
Yeah, so he's only had one loss, hasn't he, in his entire career, and that's to Paul Craig with that. Was it like a body triangle? He just sort of squeezed on him and he tapped fairly quickly.
It's not a bad loss to have, though, is it? Like Paul Craig, it's not exactly like a nobody that's beat you.
No, well, it kind of shows what kind of animal Paul Craig is, isn't it? He's a monster, but I'm not sure how this is going to go, really, because, Anthony Smith, he's come off, 3 wins recently. And so he's really trying to jump up the rankings again of the lightweight division, light heavyweight division, and going for that title. Do that. I know. Well, it's just the similar names, aren't there? And it'd be great to see him get back in that title picture. And I genuinely don't know what's going to happen because Anthony Smith's a very well-rounded fighter, but he does sometimes get in deep water. And I wonder if Ankalaev takes him to that deep water, where's it going to go? And I think he might just be a bit too much for him. So I think he might lose this time round.
Okay, so are you saying Ankalaev by decision or finish?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe by decision or maybe a submission, something like that. But I'm not.
Okay,
I'm not
on it. I think the opposite. I think because Anthony Smith's one of the only fighters after fighting John Jones has gone on. He went on a little bit of a losing streak, and then he seems to have pulled it back. So and his jiu-jitsu is ridiculously good. And I think Smith, because he'll never ever give up. Like you'll never see Smith tap out at the first second sort of thing. He's going to have to be dying to tap out, Glover made a mess of him, didn't he? My teeth are falling out and all this kind of stuff. And it was
his team should have pulled him out there because you could tell.
He said they'd have fired him.
Yeah. Oh, did they?
Would have fired him. Yeah, he said if they'd thrown the towel in and that, I'd have fired him. But I think Anthony Smith, he might. I think I'd go a bold prediction. He might even get it done by submission. I wouldn't say knockout, but I think Anthony can get it done inside the 3 rounds.
Yeah.
I think he's just extremely skilled, jiu-jitsu, and I think he's going to be able to get this done. I don't think he'll find himself back in the title picture, but I mean, that's a conversation for somewhere further down the line.
Yeah, well, he could do, that's the whole point of these fights, isn't it? To try and build back up to that. It'd be great to see him there. But talking of title picture and sort of a heavyweight who's certainly dropped out of that title picture now is Derek Lewis fighting against Sergey Pavlovich. I literally know nothing about Pavlovich. I think he's had 3 or 4 fights in the UFC, but he's a big boy. But Derek Lewis is a big bloke as well, and he's got some massive punches. So, and it's a shame that Derek Lewis is really out of that title picture now because he's I think he's ranked 5th, isn't he? So Lewis get a monster of a knockout. That's, it's always an exciting one to see. And this guy he's fighting has lost by knockout once before, but Lewis has just come off a knockout loss as well. So maybe that can make him desperate. And the guy's fighting is quite big. You think, it's a difficult situation when someone comes off a loss because they throw themselves in these very dangerous situations. But I'm gonna stay positive, and I want Lewis to win. So I'm gonna say second round knockout for Derek Lewis.
Yeah, I think this one comes maybe into experience, of Derek Lewis. I think he's about 37 and his opponent's only about 30, but his opponent isn't the most active at all. No. Derek Lewis, especially in recent years, he really did turn it up. I honestly think since the DC loss that he took, he seems to have just dialed up the volume, and he's just been active as hell recently. And I think you're right. I mean, Derek Lewis, absolutely no disrespect sort of thing, but it's clear in his last few fights, especially with the Cyril Gane fight, I don't want to say a one-trick pony, but he is waiting just for that big shot. And that's, but you're never going to see like big technical takedowns and all that kind of stuff. It just seems in the first round, you're on the edge of your seat, and after that, you just kind of you can melt a little bit and just watch him crack away. But I think the same, actually. I think Derek, in the next breath, I'm thinking Derek, he is going to land one of them massive shots. I don't think I've contradicted myself too much. I just think that it's like big shot after big shot after big shot. You know what I mean? It's never like, okay, jab away at his face, and then take him down or something, and then a body shot. It's just Derek Lewis seems to go for these massive.
He literally just holds his fist there, doesn't he? Just waits. That's it.
It's like, like in a PlayStation 1 boss, like the very first Resident Evil or something, when they just come, Nemesis or something comes around with like one big shot. It's like that. But I think he's going to land one of them because, heavyweights, obviously, a ridiculous amount of power. And I think Lewis is going to be back in the all-time knockout. Keep tallying up that number.
I really hope so. But coming away from the big guys, let's go down to the little guys. And a fight I am really, really excited for is Brendan Moreno versus Kai Kara-France. They have fought once before, and Brendan Moreno, to be honest, battered Kai Kara-France. But, Kai was a bit younger and he's improved so much since then. Like his last fight, he showed some incredible takedown defense. And he's got some really good knockout power. When he knocked out Cody Garbrandt as well, the fight before that. So he's really got some great momentum behind him, and I'm glad he's getting this shot. But as much as I like Kai Kara-France, I think Brendan Moreno is probably just a little bit too good for him at the moment. And honestly, I hope I eat my words. I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to see Kai Kara-France come out and just batter Brendan Moreno. But I do like Brendan as well. And, he's had some great fights with Figueiredo. But, we need some different fights, though, because we've seen those guys fight, 3 times, is it now?
Yeah, 3 times, yeah.
And it feels like there's going to be a 4th if Brendan wins again. But I just feel like Brendan's just too much. He's too tactical. But, Kai's really good as well. Oh, it's a difficult one. I'm not sure what my decision is, but I think Brendan Moreno's going to get the win here, probably going to scrape a split decision.
So I think Kai Kara... Yeah, he could probably get it done. And it is good just to, throw, it sounds silly, throw a third man into the title picture. You know what I mean? Just to spice everything up. So I'm just grateful of that no matter what. I think, interim championship on the line. See what happens with Davison, because he was talking about potentially going up. But, that's something for maybe a future date, isn't it?
Yeah, because it does seem like a very difficult weight cut for Figueiredo, doesn't it? He does seem to struggle with that. So it would be good if he does leave the division altogether and really spice that flyweight up. But we do have another exciting fight. Juliana Pena versus Amanda Nunes, coming off, honestly, one of the biggest shocks ever in UFC. I was so
shocked. The biggest, I thought. The biggest.
Probably, isn't it, right? When Juliana Pena was just battering Nunes in that second round and then just chucked her to the ground like Hamzat and Gilbert Burns, literally just threw her on the floor. It's like it was nothing. I couldn't believe it. And choked her out so easily. But I'm not sure Juliana Pena can do that again. It's because Amanda Nunes is just such a talented fighter, isn't she? She's so skilled. She's probably one of the best women fighters ever in existence. And so can she make those adjustments? And because in that first round she was dominating Penny. You know, she flinging her around the floor. Penny looked terrified of her, but she came back in that second round. So I'm really not sure. What are your thoughts on it, Mark?
I actually think it's going to be a very anticlimactic fight, to be honest. And I think we're going to get a decision, whoever it is who wins. I think that, Julie's going to be obviously cautious of Amanda's power. Amanda's going to be cautious of, because Julie was tagging her a lot as well. But it just seemed like Amanda was a bit gassed, and she was just like flat-footed and couldn't, oh, I'm not used to getting pelted with punches. And then, Julie just obviously took advantage of that. And then we got the biggest shock in UFC history, to me, I think, ever. Because it was that much of an underdog. It's ridiculous, No one should be that big of an underdog. I know it's Amanda Nunes, but no one should be. And I think Julie can maybe get it done. I refuse to believe that the women's division, this women's division, is just a two-person division. It feels a little bit that way, with the straw weights and that kind of stuff, where there's just a few names that are up there. I refuse to believe that. I think this is now Juliana's time. Amanda might have had a little flash in the pan. We've seen it multiple times before, where the champion loses, and then after that they can't find the feet.
Yeah.
And I think she's gonna come in a little bit cautious of, all right, I got finished by this person. So I think Julie, I don't know if she can finish her. Probably, like I said, they're probably going to go both cautious, and then it'll go to decision. Retains Julie Van Pena.
It's certainly a good. I think it's certainly possible. But I think Amanda Nunes just came out with a wrong mindset last time. I think it caught her by surprise, and she just seems so flustered and confused, and it
underestimated, I would just say.
Yeah, definitely. That's it. She definitely underestimated her, came unprepared for this fight. And I think this time it's going to be a Nunes domination. I really do, actually. Yeah. I think Nunes is going to come out and maul her. She's going to drag her to the floor, pummel her, and make a tap. Honestly, that's what I think is going to happen. I think she's going to you've embarrassed me too much. And I've heard that they've had a lot of conflict during Tough. I don't watch Tough, but I think she's going to come out and just batter her. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. We'll see. But either way, I'm really excited for this card. We will be doing a live stream. So if you guys are hanging around, come say hello. We'll really appreciate it. And I do think that's all we've got time for. Thanks everyone for watching. If you can like, comment, and subscribe, it really does help us out.